Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to try to do a quarter mile in under 10 seconds in reverse. It was pretty easy until we added that last part. So to keep track of how long it takes us to do a quarter mile, we're going to be using an app called the Distance Timer. Now this is a mod you can go and download, and it works real simply. You add it to the screen, and then you can set the distance from like 1/10 of a mile all the way up to 2 miles, but we're going to be using 0.25 miles, which is a quarter mile. So we're just going to slowly bring it down. Perfect. And then all you need to do is accelerate. Once it detects movement, it initiates. So here's just a quick demonstration of the app using the pickup truck. This thing is not that fast, so it'll take us a little bit to do a quarter mile, though I'm guessing maybe, let's go 17 seconds. That's my guess. And we're about halfway through at 10 seconds, so we're going to be pretty close, I think. 17.288. That is pretty close to what I guessed. All right, now we're going to come to a stop, and this thing also works in reverse as well. So we're going to do another quick test with the pickup truck. We're just going to do a quick 180 with it, and then we're ready for another test. So this is kind of the baseline quarter mile reverse test using the pickup truck. And looking at it right now, it doesn't feel like it's accelerating that much slower than it was going forward. And the reverse gear even goes all the way up to what, 70, maybe even more miles per hour? Just about 70 miles per hour. So it's like just barely faster going forward than reverse. 18.358. So it's only about a second off from the time going in forward. That's kind of funny. But we need to cut 8 seconds off that time. What's the easiest way to cut time off of a quarter mile time? Get a faster car. So we're going to start off with the drag version of the Bruckle Moonhawk, which I think is the fastest drag car. And then we're just going to get a baseline time by going in reverse with this one. And it's already up to 70 miles per hour, and it's a little bit higher top speed than the pickup truck. So I expect this to be a good amount faster. Might be about 13 seconds, looking at the quarter mile timer on the bottom. 13.663. That's not bad. And I know a really easy way to make it faster. If you noticed while we were doing that run, we were constantly pegged out at the top speed. So we need to make the reverse gear longer so we can reach a higher top speed. Now with the default 4-speed drag transmission, I don't think you can modify the gear lengths. So we're going to change this to the race 6-speed manual transmission where you can modify the length of the gear. Then we're going to go to tuning, and then we need to actually bring this to the right. Normally, if you want a longer gear, you bring it to the left, but it's reversed on the reverse gear because you notice if you go over here, it's a bigger number, which means the gear is shorter. We want a small number, which means the gear is longer. So we'll start off at like maybe 1.305, and we'll see what that does. So here we go in reverse, and I do notice it started off a little bit slower there, but it's getting up to speed no problem, and we are at 130 miles per hour here. This one's going to be done in 10.8 seconds, so that's an improvement, but I think we can make the gear a little bit longer to make the car a little bit faster. So we're going to just come to a stop again, go back into the tuning menu, and we'll make it maybe like 1.17. That seems like a pretty promising spot. And then into reverse again, and we're not even launching it that hard. I'm sure I could probably launch this a little bit harder to cut the time off some more, but right now I'm just trying to fine-tune that gearing. We're about topping out right at the end. There we go. That's pretty good. It was only a 10.755, so not that much faster, but we were going fast. I tried to stop the car, and it didn't exactly stop us how I was planning it to do. So we'll just clean up the car and then line it up again. And then we'll do a little bit of a hard launch here to see if that helps at all. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and lined up. Now it looks pretty good. And then to launch it, we're going to put it in realistic gearbox mode and put it to neutral. And then we're going to just rev it up and launch it in reverse. That might have helped a little bit to get off the line harder. So let's see how fast are we going to do this one. Coolant's overheating. That's fine. We don't have that much left. Piston rings are already damaged. So we got a 10.560. Are we going to roll over again? Yes. It turns out trying to stop a car going 150 miles per hour in reverse with a drag suspension setup that's super stiff is not the easiest thing to do. Also, I bet this drag suspension setup is not doing it any favors for going really fast in reverse. I just don't feel like it would be because the way the weight transfers, it's all backwards. All right, one last try at launching it hard, see if we can beat that time. So again, neutral and go! This time we try not to overheat the engine at the start because I think we were just revving it high too long. So coolant's overheating now, but no piston ring damage until there. That was just a little bit slower, and now we're flying off the road again. Okay, this thing, a little bit unstable at those speeds in reverse. Who would have thunk, right? I feel like if I wasn't flying all over the place, though, I could go even faster, though. So, I know I said that was going to be the last try, but it wasn't a good try, was it? Lining it up, and this one's going to be a good try, all right? So here we go. Whoop, the car it just stalled out on me. Okay. Come on, car, turn on. There we go. Rev it up and go. We gotta do it as fast as possible so the car doesn't overheat too much during the run. And let's see if I can keep it nice and straight. That is nice and straight. There we go. 10.478. That is my new best time. And the car is just completely falling apart at this point. And once again, into another roll. This one's a really good roll, though, getting it all over the place. And now we're finally coming stationary. It actually will still drive a little bit. Well, just barely. This thing is so beat up, it does not want to drive. So I think the only thing we can do to possibly help it is to reset it. And then improve it. So what can we do to make this faster? The answer is almost always going to be weight reduction. All you need is a place for the driver to sit. That's it. You definitely don't need a wheelie bar because we're not doing any wheelies going in reverse. In fact, we need a bar on the opposite side of the car maybe. And then we could go to the body and just remove pretty much everything here. We don't need the hood protecting the engine. It's going to overheat anyways no matter what. We don't need the glass because the driver has a helmet. We don't need the roll cage because I'm a good driver who doesn't crash and roll over. Yeah, right. We're going to take it out anyways, though, because weight reduction. We'll leave all the important stuff for driving, but we can remove the doors. We can also remove the fenders, and then the front parts of the car as well. And then also the trunk. Like, there's a bunch of things we can just remove off of this thing. And I'm sure once we get all this weight reduced, it should be a good amount faster. I almost want to leave the trunk to kind of keep the weight on the rear. I don't think it'd actually make a big difference, though. So, rear panel, gone, and then trunk will be gone as well. Oh, that didn't click. There we go. So, gone. And then rear fenders, and finally, I'm just going to go ahead and say bye-bye, trunk. And now the car is significantly lighter. Let's see how it does. First, we got to line it up, though. We'll just drive it forward a little bit, park it right there, save the spot. And then we're going to go in reverse in the exact same way we did before. So we're going to rev it up and then reverse. And it took off about the same as before, it felt like, but let's see what the time actually shows. I'm keeping it pretty straight through that. And the time, whoa, getting squirrely right at the end, but we got a time of 10.442, which is ever so slightly faster than before. But there is some more tuning we can do to make it even faster. So we're going to go back to the tuning menu. We're going to make the fuel volume like nothing, because we don't need a lot of fuel to drive just a quarter mile. So we're going to do 4.5 liters, which I think will be enough. Because this thing does go through fuel fast, but I think that should be totally fine. And what if we make the gear just a tad longer? It's not by much. Just make it like, maybe, yeah, there we go. Just a tiny bit, because it seems like we might be topping out just a bit. And the same strategy as before. We rev it up and then reverse. Now that launch did not look as good as the other ones, though, did it? Because the gear is slightly longer. You know, it really makes you wish if only I had multiple gears in reverse, but the only stock car that has multiple gears in reverse is the T-Series, and that is simply not a fast vehicle. So right there, yeah, making the gear longer did not help, unfortunately, so we'll have to put it back to what it was and figure out how can we possibly make it faster. Well, I have one more idea I'm thinking of, so bring this thing back up. I think we had it at one more tick, right? There we go. Oh, close enough. I think that's actually what we had, 1.17? Oh, well. But I'm going to put the trunk on this. I know it sounds so weird. Why add weight? Because we need more weight on those rear wheels for them to get more traction because they're spinning all the time. But we don't want weight on the front because that just adds weight. So we're going to go to body. Then we're going to go to trunk and we're just going to add it in. And if we have a bigger wing, we might add that as well to get the downforce. You know, the way the game works, I'm not sure if like it's just a set number for downforce. So you'll actually get downforce going in reverse even though the aerodynamics is all wacky or what. But we're going to put it on anyways just in case. And here we go. You know, maybe the fuel in the tank would actually be helpful because also the weight is near the rear again. See, now I'm actually thinking about this more in detail. Oh, no. Okay, I definitely think having a little bit more weight on the rear will help with stability at least so I don't roll over so easily. So let's try adding the fuel back into the tank. So even though I just removed the fuel, it's going back into the car. We're going to max it out for maximum weight on those rear wheels. And I might even want to put like the tail lights and stuff back in if this actually works out. So let's see here. Do a quick run. We still got tons of wheel spin, unfortunately. But it might be a little bit better than before. Let's see what the time says. We're going to get a time of 10.360. That is better. We are getting closer and closer to the under 10-second mark. But every second becomes harder the faster you get. So reset and add the weight back. So backwards, right? Like I just did all this removal and it's like, wait a minute, I needed that. It's coming back. So we want to put the rear panel back on. And does that come with the lights, or do we have to put the lights on separate? I can't remember. That comes with the lights. And then we might even want to put the wheelie bar back on just to get the weight as close to the rear as we possibly can, right? So wheelie bar goes on it. And then tow hitch. Can we do the wheelie bar and the tow hitch for maximum weight? Like any weight I can get behind the rear wheels is going to be really helpful. So this is the ideal setup for backwards drag racing. This is so dumb, but here we go! Come on, get under 10, get under 10. Pretty good run, pretty good run. Oh, 10.193! It is getting so close! And we are sliding and flopping all over the place, but that is even closer than before. It's working. Add more weight, but I don't know how we can add any more weight, unfortunately. Like, I think that's as much as we could possibly do. I'll go ahead and check through the parts menu again, but I can't think of anything we could possibly... Rear bumper? I thought the wheelie bar and the rear bumper really didn't match up when you put them both on, but let's see what happens here. Oh, yeah. A little bit more weight behind the wheels. All right, we gotta try it again. This might help. Put it over the top. Come on, car. Can't see really good from that camera angle. Get it under the 10s. That is a nice clean run. 10.118. Ever so closer to under 10 seconds. We can do this. I just gotta get a little bit better run, and I think we could get in the 9s. But the launch itself is pretty good. Just rev it up and go. Nothing fancy with that. And then trying to keep it straight. That's what is the difference between a good and a bad one, is if you can keep it straight. And I kept it pretty straight. 10.030. Oh, we are so close right now. I feel like one more attempt and I got it. Just same strategy. Rev it hard, launch it hard, and then let it go in reverse. Just try to keep it as straight as we possibly can without covering much distance. You know, just make sure we don't hit the walls. There we go. 9.832. That is my new record, and that is in the 9s. We did it. Under 10 seconds. But what if we could go even faster? So I'm going to have the exact same setup on a Barstow and see if it's any better or not. Alright, the Barstow is set up nearly identically to the way we have the Moonhawk set up. So let's go ahead and do a test run. Here we go, all the way up to 100 miles per hour already. Can we keep it straight is the question. The answer is yes, we can-ish. Okay, we kept it straight good enough, but we were still 0.4 seconds off of the Moonhawk time. So I don't think the Barstow is going to do much better, but we'll give it one more shot just in case, because that was not a perfect run. It was an okay one, but it could have been better for sure. I don't think it's 0.4 seconds better, but gotta give it a shot. That was a much better run, and it wasn't even close. So into the water you go. But when I was putting this together, I had a thought. I had an idea of a car that could potentially be even faster than the Moonhawk. And again, all using stock parts. So, what car is it? It's going to be the Hirochi Sunburst. How could it be the Hirochi Sunburst? Well, we're going to start off with the 1.8 CVT version. And you're just really wondering, like, what are you doing, WhyBeAre? That is a lame old economy car. But there's an interesting thing about the CVT, I think. How does it work in reverse? It's also a CVT. It's not like a fixed gear or something. It's still a CVT, so it could just stay in that power range forever right there. You see that? So, like, top speed should be pretty reasonable going in reverse with the CVT setup. So what we gotta do is we gotta amp this thing up. Well, actually, you know what? Instead of amping the car up, why don't we just bring a CVT into an already amped up car? That sounds a lot easier. So we'll grab the hill climb version, and all we're gonna do is do a little bit of tweaking to it and then swap the transmission for the CVT. So we're gonna go to body, and we're gonna go to engine, transmission, and we want the continuously variable transmission. And I want to make sure the engine is tuned to go as fast as it can. The only way to make sure is, yep, those are good. And let's do a test run here. So just in reverse, I don't even know how to launch this thing properly, but let's just kind of see what it does here. All right, it accelerates decently enough. I don't think it's going to be quite as fast as the, well, maybe with a good launch it might, because look at how nice and stable it is. We could also do weight reduction on it. This has a good chance, actually. So the way we're going to launch it is we rev it up and then reverse. Nice launch. Already up to 80 miles per hour. This is actually really good. This is good. Let's see what the number shows here. 9.973, and we have all this weight we could remove probably. And since this is all-wheel drive, I don't need to worry about trying to keep all the weight near the rear wheels probably. I can really reduce the weight on this thing and have at it. All right, so same thing as before basically, just remove everything, and this time we're not even going to worry about all the weight in the rear. Well, what we could do is remove all the things on the front, leave the stuff that's kind of behind the wheels, and see what happens. And you've already seen me remove all the parts a few times recently, so I'll be right back once it's done. Okay, so I've stripped everything but the rear of the car, and now we're going to see how it does. So, same strategy as before, you rev it up, and then into reverse. Ooh, that feels a little bit faster, don't it? Oh, this is going to be amazing. Watch this, here we go. Come on. 9.594, and it's much easier to drive this. Like, I had to do nothing. The other one, I'm all trying to keep it in line. This one just, now you rev it up, launch it. You're done pretty much. You don't even have to do much steering to keep it straight. Like, I'm not steering this thing at all. It just is true to its line, staying perfectly in the lane. That is great. Nice and consistent times, too. 9.594 to a 9.607. So now we're going to remove the parts in the rear and see if it makes it better or worse, because it's all-wheel drive. It might be different. Okay, body panels have been stripped off the car, so here we go. We're just going to rev it up and launch it and see what happens here. And I don't think it'll matter for the all-wheel drive about the weight distribution as much, because you got both the front and rear wheels giving power. So with that, we got a 9.355. That's faster than before. We might be able to break into the 8-point-somethings if we tune this thing right. Now we're going to the extremes here, okay? So what do the extremes mean? Well, less fuel in the tank for sure. We're going to drop this down to like 1 liter. That's all we probably need for this run. And we're going to go a little bit stupid crazy here, okay? We're going to go to the front suspension, right? And you know what we don't need? We don't need brakes. That's just a few extra pounds gone. Yeah, we can't stop. But this is to get the fast time. This is holding nothing back at all. This is stupid crazy mode. Here we go. Trying it again. Come on, have enough gas, please. I don't know if 1 liter will be enough because I don't know how crazy the fuel consumption can be on a car like this. We made it though, and it was actually slower. Now, I want to say that was me, so we're going to try it again real quickly. I mean, the nice thing about this car is it's pretty easy to launch. You just rev it up and go. And let's see what time we get. I felt like that was a pretty good launch here, so what are we getting here? We're going to get a 9.153. I feel like if I get into the tuning menu and really get this thing dialed in as good as I can, remove a couple of parts I forgot like the exhaust, we can get this thing into the 8s. So I'm going to do all that setup and I'll be back once it's done, because this is going to involve a lot of trial and error, to be honest with you. Okay, so this is the best time I had. It was a sub 9-second time, and I'm not going to show you the tuning setup. I'm going to keep that a secret, and I say anybody out there who's watching this video, beat my time, because I'm pretty sure this is the best I can get this car up to, but I'm sure somebody else out there can do better. And I'd love if I could see somebody get this thing into the 8.5 second range, because that would just be absolutely absurd. Like, this spinning right here is absurd as well. And just as a dumb fun extra, let's do a drag race between these two champions, huh? So, here we go. No fancy launch on the SBR4, so this one might have a chance. No! Even with a really lazy launch, the SBR4 still does pretty well. Anyways, that's it. For real.